Is Germany on something's brewing in Germany, and the company is on the verge of a major political revolution. You see, the Alternative for Germany, AfD, has been making waves lately. They're that party that's been riding the populist roller coaster, shouting controversial slogans from the top of the loop-de-loop. And guess what? Their latest move has everyone's attention: mass deportations. Angela Merkel's calm, measured politics have been the norm for ages. But suddenly, the AfD storms in like a bull in a china shop, demanding action. So what's fueling this transformation, and what might this mean for Germany's future? Join us as we discuss this and more. Background on Germany's immigration policies. Germany's story with immigration has changed a lot since the end of World War II, shaping its culture and society in many ways. Let's take a deeper look at how this evolution unfolded and what it means for Germany today. Right after World War II, Germany was in a tough spot. The country was dealing with a massive number of displaced people, including refugees and ethnic Germans who were returning from Eastern Europe. These folks were seeking safety and a new start after the war had ripped their lives apart. As Germany started to rebuild, something incredible happened. During the 1950s and 60s, the country experienced the Wirtschaftswunder, or economic miracle. This was a period of rapid economic growth where jobs were popping up everywhere. With industries booming, there was a huge demand for workers. To fill these jobs, Germany invited guest workers, known as Gastarbeiter, from various countries like Turkey, Italy, and Greece. Initially, these workers were thought to be temporary solutions for the labor shortage. However, many of them decided to stay and make Germany their home, which began to reshape the country's demographic landscape. This shift sparked early discussions about immigration and how newcomers could integrate into German society. Fast forward to 2015, a major turning point for Germany's approach to immigration came with the refugee crisis. Over 1 million people, mostly fleeing conflict in Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq, sought asylum in Germany. This influx created a buzz across the nation, leading to intense public and political debates. Chancellor Angela Merkel made the controversial decision to open Germany's borders to these refugees. Many praised her for this humanitarian gesture, recognizing the need for compassion during a global crisis. However, others raised concerns, fearing that such an open-door policy would strain Germany's resources and affect the social fabric of the country. This situation sparked significant divisions within German society, with fears surrounding immigration and security rising to the forefront. Out of this atmosphere, the Alternative for Germany party gained traction. Their anti-immigration platform resonated with many voters who felt uneasy about the rapid changes in their communities. This shift in political sentiment reshaped Germany's political landscape and intensified discussions about the sustainability of the nation's immigration policies. To understand this, we need to take a look at Germany's legal framework for immigration. Germany's legal framework for immigration. To navigate the complexities of immigration, Germany has developed a legal framework governed by its basic law, Grundgesetz. This foundational document guarantees the right to asylum for individuals fleeing political persecution, but it comes with various rules and restrictions. One key piece of legislation is the Dublin Regulation, part of European Union law, which requires asylum seekers to apply for asylum in the first EU country they enter. This regulation complicates Germany's role within the broader European context, especially as it faces pressure from a significant number of asylum seekers arriving in the country. Germany's Asylum Act, Asylgesetz, outlines the processes for applying for asylum, detailing how these applications are evaluated and under what conditions they may be granted or denied. Over the years, Germany has tightened its asylum laws, making it easier to expedite the deportation of individuals whose applications are rejected. The government has also created lists of safe countries of origin to streamline the process, which has raised concerns about fairness and transparency. For those who are undocumented, the legal landscape in Germany can be quite challenging. While these individuals may have access to basic services, such as emergency health care, they are at risk of deportation if caught by authorities. The Residence Act, Aufenthaltsgesetz, governs the legal status of non-European Union nationals, including provisions for deportation and detention. In recent years, Germany has ramped up its efforts to enforce deportations, particularly for individuals considered to pose a security threat or those who have committed crimes. Political landscape on immigration. Germany is in the middle of a heated discussion about immigration, and the political landscape reflects a deep divide. It's like a big family squabble where different groups have very different ideas about how to handle newcomers. Let's break down the main players and their views. The Christian Democratic Union Christian Social Union is traditionally seen as center-right. These folks tend to be more cautious when it comes to immigration. They want stricter controls and focus a lot on helping newcomers integrate into German society. Their approach is about finding a balance between welcoming immigrants and making sure they fit in. On the other side, we have the Social Democratic Party, SPD, which leans center-left. They try to strike a balance too, but from a different angle. The SPD believes that Germany has a humanitarian duty to help people in need while also crafting practical policies that can handle immigration effectively. Then there are the Greens, who are strong advocates for open immigration policies. They put a lot of emphasis on human rights and the importance of helping immigrants feel at home in Germany. Their vision is more about inclusivity and acceptance. The Free Democratic Party, FDP, takes a more liberal approach. They are all about skilled immigration, believing that bringing in talented workers can boost the economy. For them, the focus is on the benefits that skilled immigrants can bring to the country. On the far right, the Alternative for Germany, AfD, has emerged as the loudest critic of immigration. They want strict limits on asylum seekers and are calling for mass deportations of illegal immigrants. The AfD also promotes the idea of preserving German culture, which they believe is threatened by immigration. Their rise has changed the national conversation, pushing immigration to the center stage of political debate. As the AfD gains more power, their strong anti-immigration stance continues to create division within German society. This polarization could lead to significant changes in policies that shape Germany's future, making it a crucial issue for voters. The birth and evolution of the AfD. The Alternative for Germany, or AfD, was born in the year 2013, primarily as a reaction to the Eurozone crisis. When the financial troubles hit countries like Greece, many Germans grew frustrated with the way mainstream parties were handling the situation. They felt that these parties were too lenient on the European Union's financial policies, prioritizing EU unity over Germany's national interests. In its early days, the AfD was led mostly by academics and economists who were advocating for a return to the Deutsche Mark and a tighter monetary policy. This Eurosceptic approach struck a chord with many Germans who were worried about the future of the euro and Germany's role in supporting weaker EU economies. However, everything changed for the AfD in the year 2015 during the refugee crisis. When over 1 million refugees and migrants arrived in Germany, the party saw an opportunity to expand its platform. They began to speak more about national identity, security, and the need to protect German culture, framing themselves as defenders of traditional values against what they described as the harmful effects of uncontrolled immigration. A significant leadership change in 2015 played a big role in this transformation. Frauke Petry took on the role of co-leader, and under her leadership, the AfD increasingly adopted an anti-immigration stance. The party's messaging shifted to a more populist tone, criticizing the so-called establishment and mainstream media, which they accused of downplaying the negative impacts of mass immigration. This shift from a party focused mainly on Euroscepticism to a broader nationalist movement was a turning point for the AfD. It allowed them to attract a wider range of voters who were concerned about immigration, national identity, and the future direction of Germany. The AfD's evolution reflects the growing anxieties and changing attitudes within German society, making them a significant force in the country's political arena today. Now, why does the AfD want to deport millions of people? Proposed mass deportation plans. Let's break down what the AfD is actually suggesting. At the core of their strategy is the goal to deport over 1 million illegal immigrants currently living in Germany. This plan is not just about removing individuals who have committed crimes or are deemed security threats. It targets what the party sees as a significant issue of illegal immigration on a large scale. The AfD argues that these deportations are crucial for preserving Germany's cultural identity, enhancing public safety, and alleviating the economic strain on the state. A key aspect of the AfD's plan is the criteria they propose for deportation. The party has outlined strict and broad guidelines that could affect a wide array of individuals. This includes anyone residing in Germany without the proper documentation, those whose asylum applications have been denied, and even long-term residents who have yet to gain legal status. The AfD is also advocating for the immediate deportation of individuals who have committed any crime, regardless of its severity. This hardline stance reflects the party's belief that Germany's current immigration policies are too lenient, and that there's an urgent need for swift and decisive action. When we look at the numbers involved, the AfD's proposal is staggering. They're aiming to deport more than 1 million people within the next few years. To put that in perspective, Germany currently manages to deport tens of thousands of individuals each year. To meet the AfD's ambitious goals, this figure would need to increase dramatically, presenting significant challenges. Achieving such a massive deportation effort would require extensive resources and unprecedented coordination among various government agencies, something that has never been attempted on this scale before. The methods the AfD is proposing are equally bold. The party suggests forming specialized task forces solely dedicated to identifying, detaining, and deporting illegal immigrants. These task forces would operate at both federal and state levels and would have the authority to bypass certain legal hurdles that currently slow down the deportation process. In addition to these task forces, the AfD is pushing for agreements with countries of origin to facilitate faster repatriation of deported individuals. They're also advocating for the increased use of detention centers to hold individuals awaiting deportation, ensuring that those targeted for removal cannot disappear before they are taken out of the country. The proposals put forth by the AfD have sparked a significant debate within Germany. Supporters believe that these measures are necessary for protecting the nation's identity and resources. However, many critics argue that such a drastic approach is inhumane and could violate human rights. The discussion around these policies continues to evoke strong emotions, making immigration one of the most polarizing topics in German politics today. Now let's compare these proposals to Germany's existing deportation policies, comparing approaches to deportation. When we look at the proposals put forth by the Alternative for Germany, AfD, and compare them to Germany's current deportation policies, the differences are striking. Right now, Germany's approach to deportation is much more measured and humane. The process often involves lengthy procedures where multiple legal appeals are allowed, and each individual situation is carefully considered. This is especially true for families or individuals who have managed to integrate into German society over the years. In contrast, the AfD's plans represent a radical shift away from this careful and compassionate approach. Their focus is on speed and volume rather than on assessing individual cases. AfD leaders argue passionately in defense of their proposals, insisting that Germany's existing immigration policies have become unsustainable. They believe that urgent and drastic measures are needed to restore order to the system. According to them, illegal immigration is not just a problem, it's undermining the very social fabric of Germany and putting excessive strain on public services such as healthcare, education, and housing. The AfD contends that by deporting those living in Germany illegally, they can relieve these pressures and create a more secure and stable environment for those who are legally residing in the country. They see this as essential for maintaining the welfare of German citizens and the integrity of public resources. The idea of fairness. One of the central talking points for the AfD is the notion of fairness. Party leaders argue that it is fundamentally unfair for illegal immigrants to benefit from Germany's welfare system, while many German citizens are struggling to make ends meet. They emphasize that mass deportations will not only restore a sense of fairness, but also send a clear and strong message that Germany will not tolerate illegal immigration. This rhetoric has found a receptive audience among a significant portion of the electorate, particularly in areas that have seen high levels of immigration in recent years. People in these regions often feel overwhelmed by the rapid changes and stress, the need for policies that prioritize the needs and rights of citizens over those of illegal immigrants. However, the AfD's proposals have not gone unchallenged. Critics have raised a plethora of concerns about both the feasibility and the morality of the party's plans. Questions arise about how mass deportations could be implemented without infringing on international human rights laws or tarnishing Germany's reputation globally. Many fear that such aggressive policies could lead to social unrest and further divide an already polarized society. Now, let's look at the reaction this has received. Political reactions. The Alternative for Germany has stirred up quite a storm with its plans for mass deportations, creating a lot of buzz both politically and socially across the country. Everyone seems to be talking about it. Let's start with the Christian Democratic Union, CDU, one of Germany's biggest political parties. Now, the CDU has always leaned towards stricter immigration policies, so you might think they'd be on board with what the AfD is saying, right? Well, not so fast. The CDU has definitely supported deportations in the past, but only in cases where someone might be a threat to public safety or doesn't have the legal right to stay in the country. So, while they agree that immigration laws need to be enforced, the AfD's version of mass deportations feels a little too extreme for them. CDU leaders are warning that such large-scale deportations could cause real problems, both within Germany and for its image on the world stage. After all, Germany is known for being a country that respects human rights, and this kind of policy could seriously damage that reputation. Plus, there's a real fear that it could lead to social chaos, with protests and tension bubbling over in many parts of the country. Instead of going all in on deportations, the CDU thinks the focus should be on tightening border controls and doing more to help immigrants integrate into German society. On the other side of the spectrum, you've got the Social Democratic Party, SPD. This party is all about protecting the rights of immigrants and refugees, so it's no surprise that they're pretty upset about the AfD's proposals. For years, the SPD has championed humanitarian values, pushing for policies that treat immigrants with dignity and fairness. When they hear about mass deportations, they see it as not only unworkable, but also as something that goes against the core values that Germany stands for. SPD leaders argue that kicking people out of the country in huge numbers isn't going to solve anything. In their view, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem. Instead of focusing on deportations, the SPD says Germany should be tackling the root causes of why people are fleeing their home countries in the first place. Things like poverty, war, and political instability. They believe that offering real support to those who have built a life in Germany is the way forward. Green Party opposition. Among the loudest critics of the AfD's plans are the Greens, who are well known for their progressive views on immigration and human rights. They argue that the AfD's proposals are not only ethically wrong, but also counterproductive to the very fabric of German society. The Greens believe that deportations should only happen as a last resort, used when all other solutions have failed. They emphasize the importance of considering individual circumstances and advocating for policies that promote inclusion rather than exclusion. The Greens also highlight the positive contributions that immigrants have made to Germany's culture and economy. They warn that large-scale deportations could result in a loss of valuable skills, creativity, and cultural diversity, which are essential for a thriving society. Their focus is on fostering an environment where everyone can feel welcome and integrated, advocating for initiatives that support community building and understanding among different cultural groups. The FDP, shifting gears, the Free Democratic Party, FDP, takes a different angle. While they acknowledge that illegal immigration is a genuine concern that needs to be tackled, they question the practicality of the AfD's proposals, which aim to deport over 1 million people. FDP leaders have raised significant points about the logistical hurdles such a massive operation would entail. They point out the numerous challenges, including potential legal battles, the costs involved, and the overall feasibility of carrying out such a plan. Instead of sweeping deportations, the FDP argues for a more focused strategy that emphasizes the importance of skilled immigration and seeks to streamline the legal immigration process. They believe that by attracting skilled workers, Germany can address labor shortages while maintaining a humane and efficient immigration policy. What about the public? What do they think? Public sentiment. When we turn to the public, opinions on the AfD's deportation plans are quite mixed. Polling data reveals that a notable portion of the German population supports stricter immigration controls, particularly in areas where the AfD has had electoral success. However, the idea of mass deportations is more contentious. While some Germans believe that stronger measures are necessary to safeguard the country's interests, many are concerned about the humanitarian implications. There's a growing unease regarding how these proposals would impact Germany's international reputation. Surveys show that, while there is a clear desire for more effective immigration policies, a substantial number of people are uncomfortable with the idea of mass deportations, especially when it involves individuals who have lived in Germany for many years or have established families in the country. Immigrant communities and human rights organizations have reacted with alarm and outrage to the AfD's proposals. For many within these communities, the AfD's plans are perceived as a direct threat to their safety and well-being. There is an overwhelming fear that implementing such measures would tear families apart and create an environment of fear and mistrust. Ethical concerns. As the debate heats up around the alternative for Germany's proposals for mass deportations, it's clear that the issues at play go beyond just logistical and legal hurdles. Critics are raising serious ethical concerns that threaten to unravel the very fabric of human rights protections in Germany. The AfD's proposals include a so-called master plan that aims to deport asylum seekers and even German citizens with foreign backgrounds. At the heart of these concerns is the principle of non-refoulement, a cornerstone of international refugee law. This principle prohibits countries from returning individuals to places where they might face serious harm, including torture, persecution, or death. It's enshrined in treaties such as the European Convention on Human Rights and the United Nations Refugee Convention. Critics of the AfD argue that the broad criteria proposed for deportation do not adequately consider these protections, raising the risk of unlawful deportations. For instance, if the AfD's proposals are implemented without careful consideration of individual circumstances, there's a genuine fear that people could be sent back to countries where their safety cannot be guaranteed. This scenario would not only violate international laws, but could also put lives at risk. Impact on lives and families. The ethical implications extend far beyond legal concerns. They delve into the personal lives of those affected. Many of the individuals targeted for deportation have been living in Germany for years, some even for decades. They have established roots, built families, and contributed to their communities in meaningful ways. Deporting these individuals en masse raises profound moral questions about the disruption of lives and the potential trauma inflicted on those who may have little or no ties left to their countries of origin. Imagine a family that has called Germany home for many years, with children who attend local schools and have friends in their neighborhood. Forcibly uprooting them not only disrupts their lives, but also risks creating a cycle of suffering and instability. Opponents of the AfD's plan argue that such actions dehumanize individuals, treating them as mere problems to be solved rather than recognizing their rights and dignity as human beings. Germany's commitment to human rights. Germany has long prided itself on its commitment to human rights, both within its borders and on the global stage. This reputation has been built on a foundation of respect for the rule of law and a dedication to upholding the rights of all individuals, especially the most vulnerable. Implementing the AfD's deportation plans could jeopardize this hard-earned reputation, leading to a crisis of confidence both at home and abroad. International bodies and human rights organizations would undoubtedly scrutinize Germany's actions if mass deportations were carried out. Any perceived violations of human rights could not only draw condemnation, but also lead to potential sanctions. This scrutiny could damage Germany's standing in the global community and undermine its ability to advocate for human rights in other regions of the world. Impact on Germany and Europe. The AfD's mass deportation plans are creating waves not just in Germany but across the entire European continent. The implications of such a large-scale strategy are far-reaching, affecting the economy, society, and Germany's position on the international stage. It is crucial to examine the potential economic and social impacts of such drastic measures. Let's break this down into two main areas: the economic repercussions and the social consequences that could reshape German society. First, let's talk about the economic impact of deporting such a large number of people. The immediate concern here is the labor market. Many of those targeted for deportation are working-age adults who fill vital roles across various sectors, from agriculture to hospitality. Removing this significant portion of the workforce could lead to substantial labor shortages in industries that already struggle to find enough workers. Visualize the chaos. Picture a bustling farm during harvest season or a busy restaurant during peak hours. If a considerable number of workers suddenly vanished, it would create a scramble for available hands. Farms might go unharvested, construction projects could face delays, and hospitality venues might struggle to serve customers. The result? Increased operational costs as businesses compete for the remaining labor pool, likely leading to higher wages for those who stay and ultimately increased prices for consumers. It's a ripple effect that could destabilize entire industries. Cost versus savings. On the other side of the equation, the AfD argues that mass deportations could relieve pressure on Germany's welfare system. However, the reality is much more complex. Carrying out such a plan isn't just a matter of rounding up individuals and sending them away. It involves extensive legal proceedings, detention costs, and a myriad of logistical challenges. These elements could drain public resources rather than save them. In many cases, the financial savings from reducing the number of people relying on social benefits might be outweighed by the expenses associated with executing the deportations. Moreover, the abrupt removal of a large population segment can cause significant economic disruptions. Local economies might suffer as businesses lose customers and tax revenues drop. It's not just a matter of individual loss. It's about the collective economic health of communities that depend on the contributions of all their members. Social consequences. Now let's shift our focus to the social impact of mass deportations. The potential for upheaval within families and communities is immense. Many individuals targeted for deportation have established lives, built relationships, and woven themselves into the fabric of German society. Imagine the heartache and chaos families would experience as they face separation. This upheaval could lead to increased stress and anxiety for those left behind, fostering an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Divisions in society. The AfD's approach to immigration often casts it in a negative light, framing it as a threat to national stability. Implementing mass deportations could exacerbate these views, leading to deeper social divisions. As communities grapple with the reality of their neighbors being forcibly removed, tensions might rise, and polarized opinions could become more entrenched. This environment could encourage extreme nationalist sentiments and further marginalize immigrant communities. At the same time, the drastic nature of the AfD's proposals could galvanize opposition. Human rights advocates and community organizations might rally together, leading to protests and civil unrest in response to perceived injustices. This could create a rift in society, making it increasingly difficult to find common ground on immigration and integration issues. International repercussions. As Germany navigates the contentious issue of mass deportations, it's essential to consider the potential impact on its international standing and the broader ripple effects across Europe. For decades, Germany has been recognized as a leader in promoting human rights and providing refuge for those fleeing conflict and persecution. A drastic move toward mass deportations could jeopardize this hard-earned reputation, leading to significant diplomatic challenges and influencing immigration policies across the continent. Shifting perceptions. Germany's commitment to human rights has positioned it as a moral authority on the global stage. The country has been a haven for refugees, particularly during crises such as the Syrian civil war. However, should the AfD's proposals come to fruition, this perception could shift dramatically. Mass deportations would likely draw sharp criticism from human rights organizations, activists, and other nations who could view such actions as a betrayal of Germany's foundational values. Setting a precedent. Germany's immigration policies have often served as a benchmark for other European Union countries. If Germany proceeds with mass deportations, it might create a domino effect, prompting other nations to adopt similar, more restrictive measures. This potential shift could lead to a broader, more fragmented approach to immigration across Europe, with countries tightening their borders and implementing stricter controls. The EU has been working diligently to establish cohesive strategies for managing migration, emphasizing improved border controls and the fair treatment of asylum seekers. If Germany's approach inspires other nations to follow suit, it could disrupt these efforts, resulting in a less coordinated immigration policy throughout the EU. Instead of fostering solidarity and cooperation among member states, mass deportations could lead to division and conflict over how best to handle migration issues. Such a shift could undermine years of progress made towards a more unified immigration strategy. The emphasis on collaborative approaches to handling refugees and migrants might give way to individual nations prioritizing their national interests over collective responsibility. This fragmentation could hinder the EU's ability to respond effectively to future migration crises and jeopardize its foundational principles of solidarity and human rights. What do you think about this? Let us know in the comments section. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay updated with all our latest videos. While you're still here, click the video on your screen to see more interesting content like this one.